Hey guys, what's going on out there? It's your boy Newbie for episode 2, which means, you guessed it, second appearance of yours truly, Newbie. Thank you for joining us, or I say us, but I thank you for joining me. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, the like, the notification bell. Notification bell, not so much right now. I'm only putting out maybe a video a week. It's all depending on the books, the collections I'm able to see. Today I thought we could have a little bit of fun. I know a lot of people are buying books, myself included. They're in the mail. The mailing system is crazy right now. I know I have books that were supposed to be here today, they're supposed to be here yesterday, they're supposed to be here on Friday, and they're still not here. So I just thought of a creative way to go in. I got a top 5 right now of the books that I'm wanting to get. I think all of them but 1 or 2 might be able to get this year, but if not, there's always next year, right guys? So without further ado, let's start with number 5.
Number 5.
So at number 5, we have Tales to Astonish 27. I know what you're thinking. What the hell is that? Well, this is an older comic, but it's significant because it is the first appearance of Ant-Man. Not the Ant-Man that you see on TV or in the movies, but Ant-Man, Hank Pym. Now, I know a lot of the newer, younger kids probably don't know, but Paul Rudd's character, Scott Lang, is not the first Ant-Man. He's actually the second. Hank Pym is the first. So this is a very valuable book. One, because the Tales to Astonish titles are very expensive, especially in a high grade. And it's also the first appearance of the actual Ant-Man and Hank Pym. So that's very important. I know a lot of people are on the Paul Rudd Ant-Man, and that's true. That one, the Scott Lang appearance, is in Marvel Premiere 47. So 2 different characters, both great books to have. This one is a little harder to find, especially in a high grade. I know there's a lot of low grades. I came across one not too long ago, but for whatever reason, on the Astonish part, somebody had scribbled in paint and pen. So not something that I would want to put on my shelf or kind of have and pay top dollar for. So number 5, Tales to Astonish 27. First appearance of Ant-Man, Hank Pym.
Number 4.
Alright guys, number 4. Now this one is a little tricky because I know when I first started in the industry of collecting comics, I didn't understand this character and why he had two names. But at number 4, it's Submariner 1. I know what you're thinking, why not the first appearance? Well, that book is a little way too expensive, but this one has a great cover. It reminds me of the Iron Man cover, which ironically you may see later on. But for right now, Submariner, or Namor, Namor, is the character we're talking about. A lot of hype, a lot of spec on this, especially, spoiler alert, but in Endgame they talk about an earthquake in Wakanda. Everyone's speculating that Submariner, or Namor, is going to be coming into the MCU, and this is where he happens. Submariner and Black Panther actually do have a few comics and a few issues where they do butt heads, they do fight each other. So it's going to be interesting to see how they put all the characters together. But at number 4, it's Submariner 1. This one's getting up there because a lot of people are collecting the first appearance, and those numbers are going very high. So what most people do is, instead of, if they're unable to get the first appearance, they'll go and get the first issue. Still affordable in lower grades, but if you want a high, above the mid grade, 6-7 grade, you're probably looking at about $800-900. I know the number is climbing, and especially if he drops, because he will have a big impact on it. So be on the lookout. I know there's a few outlets like eBay, My Comic Shop. They do have some around the $300 to $500 mark, and it is pretty affordable if you're into collecting the comics. I know there's people probably thinking, okay, $300-500 for a book, but this is one of the books that you do really want to have in your collection. So at number 4, it's Submariner, number 1.
Number 3.
Alright guys, at number 3, ironically enough, it's Fantastic Four, issue 4. Now, it's a tongue twister, but this is the first appearance of Namor, or Submariner. It's a copy that a lot of people are trying to get. If you look on eBay or My Comic Shop or anywhere you go, Comic Link, things like that, it is an expensive book. It's rising. I'm actually pissed every time I think about this book because this is a book that I had about 3-4 years ago. I ended up selling it for like $500, and it was like a 4.0 or 4.5, I believe it was. I got it here at Niagara Falls Comic Con. I believe in 2014. So yeah, it's a book that I regret selling big time, especially when you go and see the book on eBay now. It's just ridiculous. But this is a great cover. If you get it in a high grade, you can really see the good colors and stuff, and it's with the Fantastic Four team, things like that. It's a really good cover to have, really good book. I think it presents well. I'm really a big fan of like the white and black covers, so I know it's not necessarily white, but it does have a lighter cover, and I really enjoy that. So at number 3, it's a Fantastic Four, issue 4, first appearance of Submariner.
Number 2.
Number 2. Well, this one, maybe a lot of people are going to say, why isn't it your number 1? However, Iron Man issue number 1. Now again, this is the same situation with Submariner number 1. The first appearance of Iron Man, I mean, it's a pretty penny. Most people will take that money and either buy a car or put it down for a down payment on a house. They wouldn't necessarily buy it on a comic. I would love to have that first appearance, but what most people do, like I said earlier, is they'll go to the first issue. Now this issue is always been hot, hard to find in a very high grade at an affordable price. You can buy a lower end 3.54 for roughly $350, $500 depending on the buyer. Now guys, these prices are in Canadian, so I don't want you thinking like, oh my god, this guy's crazy, doesn't know what he's talking about, or overpaying. But the prices are in Canadian. Don't know the actual ratio to American right off the top of my head, but we can do the math later. But yeah, a nice copy in the low grade would probably get you around the 350, 500 mark. I have seen a few books, but again, you always go. It's like when you go to a grocery store or a store, you want to get one thing and then you end up leaving with 10. I'll go and say, okay, I want to get this book, and then guess what? I'm buying like 3 or 4 other ones. So it just happens. But at number 2, it's Iron Man issue number 1. Great cover, great colors. Really want this book again.
And number 1.
All right, guys. So we're at number 1. Please, before I continue, click the subscribe if you haven't. Click the like, the thumbs up. I know I'm not the greatest producer, director, anything like that. I'm just making fun videos, so I hope you can appreciate it. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your feedback. But at number 1, it's a comic that is heating up. I think that should be the theme of the video. But it's Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1, Sinister Six. That's the first appearance of Sinister Six. So you got all those characters. I'm hoping that Marvel does it in the right way. I know we've seen a lot of the characters like Rhino, Shocker, Doc Ock, Electro. Like, we have seen all these characters, but we haven't seen them all together. We also haven't seen them in the same MCU, because a lot of those characters were with Garfield's Spider-Man, not necessarily Tom Holland. So it's going to be interesting to see, with Spider-Man being one of the main characters in the MCU moving forward, what they do. Especially when you consider that they're going the symbiote way with like the Carnage, the Venom on the other side, and hopefully trying to meet, because let's face it, everybody wants to see Tom Holland or the Spider-Man get the Venom symbiote. So let's see. But I really hope that they make this movie. When they drop, if it drops, this book will go nuts. I remember seeing this book, I think at a 3.0 at a con in Hamilton, I believe, or in Toronto. I can't remember which one I went to, years ago, and it was like $400 to $600, and at the time I was like, nah, no, I lied. I think it was like 2012-ish, around there, earlier. But nevertheless, like, it was a book that I regret, because now you see the prices, they're skyrocketed. I think the last one I saw on eBay was a 0.5, and that was going for about $600 or $700 bucks. I know a few copies in the mid grades are going in the thousands. So it is a big book, popular book. that's getting even more popular. If you're lucky to have it, super lucky. I'm jealous. I can name you 10 people who are jealous of not having that book, so congrats if you have it. And guys, that's it. That's my top 5 want list. Hopefully, give me a year or two, maybe 18 months, and who knows, maybe I'll have all 5 books. But thanks for joining, and I'll see you for episode 3.